Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is episode 8 of the podcast. So yeah, it is currently the Tuesday after Easter. I hope you all had a great Easter. And, some stuff happened over the weekend. Some good, some bad. We're going to get into all that stuff. So I guess first I'll just start with the bad stuff, to be somewhat black-pilled on. So at the time we were recording this, there is a big update. It's a big updates in the Iran war. Trump made some very gross, unorthodox tweets over the weekend on Twitter. Well, one on Sunday morning and then another one today. And basically, on Sunday he said, he used crude and crass language. He said, open the fucking straight, you bastards, and all that stuff. And then, earlier today, he said, tonight an entire civilization will die. I don't want it to happen, but it probably will, and all that stuff. And then, only a couple hours ago, actually, about an hour and a half ago, news just broke that apparently that America, at least, has accepted a 15-day ceasefire plan, which, technically sounds good, but in many ways it hands a victory to the Iranians. For example, all economic sanctions get lifted. The Strait of Hormuz gets reopened. I think Iran is going to continue charging tolls to ships that are passing through the strait. Oh, and one of the promises, of course, is that Israel needs to cease all actions in Lebanon against Hezbollah. So you just know that there's going to be some sabotage there. So I really doubt this is going to last very long. But, there seems to be some breathing room now. But overall, it ends up being a political loss for Trump because it shows that he chickened out, because he was screwed either way, because if he did attack Iran, then people would undoubtedly say that this is World War III, especially if it was a ground invasion of some kind and the casualties just started mounting up. And of course, if that happened, then, Republicans are finished and they automatically lose the midterms. That's pretty much what happened. However, the second option, the second outcome actually ended up happening, which is that Trump backed off, which, in terms of life and risk of life and stuff like that, this ends up being a good thing. But politically, it's a humiliation for Trump because it shows that he chickened out. And now everyone sees that the emperor has no clothes and that his threats are not as serious as people think. They're never going to take these threats as serious ever again. They're almost empty. And so, yeah, the emperor has no clothes. And so that's pretty much what happened. And so, I'll keep paying attention to the news and seeing what's going to happen. But, yeah, overall, it's appropriate. Today's Taco Tuesday, and that's exactly what happened. Trump always chickens out. That's what happened on today of all days. And so, yeah, it was politically, it was a loss for him either way. I guess it was the lesser of the two bad options, but, no matter how you slice it, this is not a victory. It's a humiliation and a defeat for us. So, yeah, but who knows how long it's going to last. And so, in the end, that's really just what happened. And so, yeah, and then, so I guess that's your, that's the black pilling piece of news that I have for you. Now, the white pilling piece of news, and this is not exactly politically related, but it's much more culturally and religiously related, which is that a bunch of people joined the Catholic Church this past Easter weekend on the Easter Vigil on Saturday night. And every year now, records continue to be broken for the number of people who convert and join the church. I think it was 14,000 people in Spain, 21,000 in France, at least 30,000 here in America. Could be more than that, however. Actually, yeah, from what I've heard, it could be way more than 30,000, but at minutes 30,000. And yeah, records just keep getting broken. You know, people are leaving behind agnosticism and atheism and milquetoast, watered-down Protestantism. They're leaving all of that and joining the Catholic Church. And it really just does show how much of not just how much of a spiritual crisis we have, but also what the remedy to that crisis is. And it appears that Christ's true church is the remedy. Has been the remedy forever, but people seem to be waking up to the fact that it is the true remedy, and that you can't find the same thing in atheism, in agnosticism, in Protestantism even. You can't find it. And so I guess that is a white-pilling piece of news, is that in both America and in Europe, people are rapidly joining the church. And to be honest with you, I really am. That is something I'm glad to see. And so I hope it continues, and I hope people become more aware to which church they can find Christ's true presence in. And it does appear to be the Catholic Church. That is something I believe. And at this point, the proof is in the pudding. When you see that many people deciding that this is the route that I'm going to spiritually take, it really is something that you should pay attention to and not just brush aside. And maybe you should ask the question, is it true? Is there something I can learn from this? Is there something I can learn from people being so drawn in? People being so drawn to this church? Is it something that maybe I can reflect on? And so overall, yeah, I really am glad that people are waking up to that. People are becoming more aware, and they are really just finding Christ's true presence in his holy church. And so I was really glad to see that. I was really glad to see a lot of new people joining the church this Easter. And I congratulate all of them. And, I'm blessed to have them. So, I will say that is a big white pill. That is a big white pill that I've seen this weekend. And it's a trend that's been going on for the past few years, really ever since COVID is when it started. But it seems to keep going. People were concerned that maybe it would stop when Pope Francis passed away, but it appears that under Pope Leo, it's continued. It's continued at a rapid pace. It keeps going, and I really am glad. And so, I'm glad to see that, and yeah, I hope it continues, and I hope that people who are lost spiritually or confused spiritually, I hope that even more of them see the goodness and the fruits of our church, and they give it a shot. So, yeah, it's a great white pill this Easter. I'm glad it happened. I hope it continues to happen. And in that sense, the future looks bright. In that sense, it does look bright. There does appear to be a religious, spiritual revival going on in the West when it comes to that. So I am glad to see that. And yeah, I really do hope it continues. So yeah, those are your black pill and those are your white pill piece of news. And we'll see where things go. But yeah. So thanks for sticking around for this episode. I will work on the next episode, I think tomorrow, and give you even more updates. And I'll just be paying attention, seeing where things go. Hopefully cooler heads prevail, and this can get brought to an end. And all that stuff. So yeah, thanks for sticking around. I will see you guys in the next episode. Of course, this episode will be released on YouTube and Rumble. Should be immediately. And yeah, thanks for hanging all out. I will see you in the next episode.